Hey, what is up guys, CKGPC, and we are back. We're here today with my ITL Season 7 draft analysis. Hopefully you guys caught my little kind of ITL hype vid. Just a bit of fun, just a bit of fun with my mates, but I think a few you guys found that pretty funny, so if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. But yeah, pretty much I was just announcing in that video that for this season of the ITL, it would be featuring myself, Aki, obviously the commissioner, as well as my good friends Manny Brolick and Anthony Zazu. So yeah, lots of reasons to be looking forward to the season. But yeah, we've drafted a pretty fun team this season. So before I jump into the draft recap, I did get a couple of extra points this season. This was it was a tiers based draft, but part of the draft is points based. So like after you've picked your mandatory tiers, you're allowed to pick, you have like a set number of points, and in those points you can grab certain mons that equate to certain tiers, because each tier has a point sort of cost associated with it. So because I won the ITL last season and the season before that, since I've joined, I think I was given like 20 extra points or something like that. So I got to potentially get a mon from a higher tier in the free round stages of the draft. So that's something to take into consideration as we kind of jump through the draft. But yeah, 20 points is nice. It doesn't mean you're going to get something crazy, something extra like broken or anything like that, but it is nice. It potentially shifts a tier 5 up to a tier 4 or something like that. So yeah, that's a pretty nice little incentive going forward. But I think as of next season, it's going to be the winner gets the first pick of the draft, which I think is sick, as opposed to getting extra points, because some people, yeah, they feel like extra points is a little bit too much. But anyway, that's going to be it for the kind of admin stuff. We're going to jump into the draft, and this time around in the ITL, I wanted to draft a bit of a fun team. I've drafted my ITL teams historically are pretty fun. Like, they're not as, I guess, like try hard as my MPL teams, which are really like focused on synergy and just like really solid cores. My ITL teams tend to be a little bit more sort of fun ones that I want to try out that I haven't used before. Last season I used Arrow, which I hadn't tried out before, which was really fun when it hit its attacks. And yeah, tried a few different mons that I hadn't messed around with. But yeah, this season we're kind of following with that trend, really using some interesting fun offensive mons, and yeah, a nice little balance of defense. So gonna kick it off. We are kicking off. We do have Tapu Koko as my round 1 pick. I've wanted to use this thing for a while. This thing, I really kind of doubted it at the beginning of the draft format in this generation, but damn, this thing is fire. Like, just its speed is incredible. Like, you guys know, I don't really draft electrics unless it's Zapdos or a Thundi. I don't ever tend to really draft electrics. I used to draft Zapdos, so I used to spam Zap back in the day, back in like early NPL and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a while since I've taken an electric type. Thundi's sick. I had Thundi back in ITL Season 5, but yeah, Tapu Koko is yeah, probably the most versatile electric there is. It even gets a defog now, so it's like, as all the sort of genies do now, and so does Zapdos obviously, but it doesn't even like lose out on that niche that the other electric types can run. It can run yeah, amazing mixed attacker, physical, special attacker. Electric Surge is pretty nice. Prevents like sleep, although that can also come to bite you if you run like rest and stuff like that. But yeah, sick mon. Really solid for momentum grabbing into breakers, which I think is the best way to use Koko. You want to pair it with mons that can abuse the switches that it forces, that can abuse the free switches that it grants to breakers. So that'd be my sort of advice for anyone drafting a mon like this. You really want to have teammates that can support that, whether it's something like Cure and Black, which is a great example. Really solid pairing with Koko. Unfortunately, that is not what I was able to secure this season, but yeah, we have some other breakers in the back. But yeah, Koko, very fun one to use. Really looking forward to using it. Very solid mixed bulk as well, like decent defenses, and its typing is really solid defensively actually. So yeah, really keen to use this thing. It's one of my Z-move mons, and Z-moves this season, pretty much they can be any 2 mons on the team, but they can't be in the same tier. So that's this is going to be my tier 1 Z-move user, and we're going to get into the others as we continue. So the next one I wanted to get is a mon that I've used last season in the NPL, and is just a very solid mega in general. But the reason why I wanted to grab this so early was because this season we have a we've changed the Mega rules, so you can actually choose to Mega Evolve your Pokemon whenever during the match, as long as its typing doesn't change. So that is why for my round 2 pick, I did decide to grab Mega Diancie. Now, you guys remember I used this thing back in NPL last season, in season 6 or season 7, I should say. And it was great. It was a really solid offensive threat on my team, and it put in a ton of work. But yeah, the really nice thing about this season of the ITL, like I said, is we don't have to Mega Evolve turn 1 with this, so I can really abuse base Diancie's defensive stats. It has 150 in both of its defenses, whilst having significantly less attacking power and obviously way less speed. But that's going to make, you know, boosting Diancie sets a lot easier to pull off, because I'll be able to take advantage of those really high defenses. So Diancie, very, very solid mon, very fun mon, pairs nicely with Coco as well. They both serve to weaken grounds for one another, which grounds are probably the best checks to these two mons, grounds and steels, so it's going to be really fun to use those two in conjunction. Nice little offensive core forming. And yeah, I've spoken about Diancie at length in NPL, so I'm not going to cover it too much, but you guys know what Diancie does. Magic Bounce is sick, Clear Body is sick, very, very solid mon. And I feel with this Mega rule, it's probably one of the most viable abuses of this rule. Obviously, like stuff like Gyarados can't take advantage of this rule because its typing changes upon Mega Evolution, so you can't take advantage of something like that. But yeah, stuff like Slowbro can abuse regen, and there are some other examples. But yeah, Diancie is a fantastic mon and can really enjoy the kind of laxed Mega rule we have this season. So the next thing we have here, I'm on a grass type actually that I've wanted to draft for a while now. And probably, in my opinion, one of, if not the best grass types in the kind of format, and I'll explain why. That is Serperior. So Serp is a very interesting grass type. It's not that bulky, like it doesn't look that bulky on paper, although it has very solid. It almost has base 100 in both defenses, and its HP isn't awful. It's nothing amazing, but its speed with its ability Contrary allowed to perform a fantastic breaking roll with Leaf Storm and Taunt and any respective hidden power, as well as Subseed. Serp can, you only really notice this once you actually go up against it in a draft league, but yeah, Subseed can invalidate Serp checks. That's how ridiculous Serp is. Like, obviously you have to rely hitting Seed, but like, if you can hit Seed and you can get a sub up, then like you invalidate checks to Serperior. So stuff like Heatran, for example, cannot beat Serp if it has a sub up or if it switches in on Seed, because you're always recovering the sub damage up with lefties and Leech. Not to mention that they have to account for offensive Serp. It now gets Defog as well, so we've already got 2 Defoggers in Coco and Surf, which is really nice. And yeah, Serp is a very fun one. It's got a ton of tricks up its sleeve, and I'm excited to finally use it. I don't think I've used it in the format yet, so this should be pretty fun one to use. And obviously my team's looking pretty offensive at this point. It's very fast, 130, 2 110s, 130, 1 110 and 113, which is actually a really nice speed tier, outspeeding base 110s, you know, base 111s, those like stuff like Thundy, Torn Eye, and then, you know, 112s. There's like 1 or 2 112s in the format. So yeah, Serp, very solid speed tier. Pretty excited to use it. And the next one we grabbed is Bronzong. Now Bronzong, solid steel. Steel, probably the most important typing you can get in a draft, in my opinion. And Bronzong is underrated. It is super underrated. Like this thing is Levitate plus its typing. It's basically like Jirachi. It is Jirachi typing with either an immunity to ground or a resistance to fire. So depending on which ability you opt for. So this thing obviously is like a really solid budget steel. Very solid defenses with solid offensive stats, and this thing, like, in terms of being an offensive threat, it's not to be underestimated. Like, Trick Room offensive sets work well. There's some, I got a lot of ideas with this thing. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't want to, reveal too many strats, but yeah, this thing's nice, and I've used it in a couple of draft tours, and I really did enjoy it. It offers a lot to a team. It can be a very solid lead, for example, like offensive lead. It can be, just a very solid pivot into a lot of nasty fairies, into a lot of nasty dragons, grounds. You name it, Bronzong can pretty much take it. But yeah, very solid teammate, and it's something that partners up really well with Diancie, for example, Serperior as well, and Coco. So obviously with Coco and Diancie, I'm looking at a bit of a ground weakness, but you know, Bronzong and Serp, they cover that up quite well. And it also takes on flying types aimed at Serp, which is really nice, and Coco does the same, so, and Diancie. So yeah, flying types currently not an issue for my team, so that's pretty solid. But the next one we grabbed is going to be Dam, and Dam, the reason I grabbed Dam is because I never draft electrics and I never draft fires unless the fire is a Zydex or it's a Volcarona. So I used Dam back in the day, and like I said, I wanted to go on a real kind of fun angle with this draft. And yeah, the beauty of Dam is that it really appreciates Coco. It really appreciates Coco as a teammate, as well as Serp, because really the only things that can check Dam reliably are either like a super fat dragon, which Diancie loves to abuse, grounds and waters, which Serp and Coco both abuse. So Dam's a menace. This thing just adds to my Volturn core, and is a real nice breaker to bring in on Coco's, you know, safe switches that it forces. It's a really nice way of bringing it in. It also has defog support from Serp and Coco, which aren't weak to rocks, so that's pretty nice. And yeah, Dam, not a lot of teams have a check to Dam. Dam is a very irritating one to face, and that's going to be a very solid offensive component of my team. So yeah, Dam, and if you're real, you can run like, you know, Rest Talk Dam, you know, Bulk Up Rest Talk, the Zazo special. That's also another viable Dam set. But yeah, Dam's very fun to use. I haven't used it in ages, so I'm pretty keen to try it out again. And it should be a fun teammate for this team. Now the next one I picked was actually Slowking in the original draft, but I did make a transaction before week 1, and because I realized I kind of have a flaw with my team, and the next one I picked that I traded for Slowking before the season started really helped to patch that up, and that was Snorlax. So big body Lax. This thing is amazing. I used it recently in a league that unfortunately died, but yeah, Snorlax is very interesting. With Gluttony now, Figgy Berries, obviously you guys know Figgy Berry Lax with Recycle is a thing. But yeah, Lax isn't just a Spit F wall. It can be a Fizz F wall, which is kind of nuts. But with reliable recovery now with Gluttony and Recycle. But yeah, this thing can do so much. It can offer so much for a team. It's one of those mons that you can really like tailor to fulfill a certain defensive or offensive role for a team. You need it to trap, it can trap. You need it to function as a pivot. It can always function as a pivot. It can scout damage very well because of its ability to just heal itself up over the course of the game. And yeah, its offensive stats are amazing. Like 110 with ability to curse up is very nice. And 65 special attack, not actually that bad when it needs to. It has really solid special coverage. And yeah, Lax is a great one. It's very irritating for a lot of teams to face. It forces prep for curse sets because curse Lax is, you know, if the opponent doesn't have knock, if they don't have like strong fighting coverage or like Secret Sword or Sacred Sword, Lax is a massive threat. So yeah, pretty excited to be using this thing again. And yeah, big body Lax. Gonna have to come up with a name for it, but you see these base stats. Obviously this is gonna be level 50 in the ITL, but even so, this thing is chewing hits for days. So that's gonna be the first half of my team. I'm gonna pause it and we're gonna jump into the next half. Alright, so we're back with the second part of the team, and the next one I chose to grab was Seismitoad. I wanted a solid ground, and at this stage I didn't have a water. Well, I had Slowking, but I knew I was going to trade that off, so I wanted to pick up Seismitoad because this thing is really nice. I feel like water grounds are really on the resurgence in the format. Like stuff like Swampert even is a very solid one to have on any team. But yeah, the niche that Seismitoad has obviously is the water absorb and the ability to run offensive Swift Swim. Poison Touch, I suppose, if you're going to run a defensive set, but yeah, very nice rocker. At this stage, I have Bronzong, Diancie, and Toad as all being viable rockers to any game, so that's really nice. But yeah, this thing's nice. Like very solid HP with respectable defensive stats, nice offensive stats as well, and decent speed. Like this speed is irritating for a lot of teams to face. 74, yeah, just above stuff like base 70s, 65s, which are pretty common, and yeah, it gives me a very nice water kind of immunity in this water absorb. Grass types obviously threaten this thing, but you know, Serp is waiting in the back, Dam is waiting in the back, Bronzong is waiting in the back to take advantage of those grass types that attempt to, you know, tackle Seismitoads. That's really nice. And yeah, this thing is Very fun one. I've wanted to try it out for a while, and like I said, this season it's about having some fun, and yeah, this thing is going to be a lot of fun to use. So the next one I grabbed was Sneasel. Sneasel, young Weavile. You guys know Weavile was the MPL Season 5 MVP. That thing was just nuts. Love using that thing. And Sneasel is obviously nowhere near as good as Weavile, but it's a pretty close second. Just having that dual typing is very solid. Ice Shard is ridiculously useful in the format, and base 115 speed is more importantly a really nice benchmark to hit for my team. So my speed tiers are looking really solid this season actually. Yeah, very nice speed tiers, and with 115 I can really abuse the 110s that are going to be forced to respect Diancie or just run a slower amount of speed to check, as a result of just having so much speed on my team, like Coco, Serp, and now Sneasel. It's really going to force opponents to play around that to bring extra Scarfers, stuff like that, if they don't already have mons that can outspeed naturally. So that's a real advantage. But yeah, trapping's huge. If you can use trapping well, it can really open up the doors for other mons in your team to sweep, and that's what Sneasel can do very effectively. And then my last kind of high tier mon that I was able to pick due to my points at this stage was Latias. Now Lati's a really cool dragon in my opinion, especially for an offensive team like this. Like I do have some fat. I've got Bronzong, Snorlax, and Toad, which all quite thick in their own right. But Lati brings bulk, but it also brings Healing Wish to the table, which is something that offense really appreciates. Especially stuff like Diancie. If you can break a team down early game with Diancie, and then have Healing Wish in the back to revive it for a Rock Polish sweep in the late game, that can be huge. As well as Coco, they both really appreciate Healing Wish support, and Latias provides that, as well as providing Defog, Wish Pass. So many things this thing can do. Very excited to use it, and it should be a real great asset to the team. I'm not going to really talk about it too much. You guys know what Lady does, but yeah, very fun one. Another base 110, very solid spit F 130. That is not to be underestimated. This thing is fat, and base 90 defense. So yeah, nice defensive component, but also very nice, especially offensive prowess. And speaking of specially offensive prowess, the next one I picked up in in this draft is going to be the Venomoth. So Venomoth gives me T-Spikes, gives me a grounded poison to soak up the T-Spikes, it gives me a Tinted Lens Beast. This thing is actually my second Z-move mon, so Quiver Dance with Z-moves is is going to come to a game, I can tell you that. And this thing with Sleep Powder is just a menace. This thing is really quite terrifying for a lot of teams to face. It has Baton Pass. We can't Baton Pass speed in the ITL, so you're not going to see any this thing does get agility, so agility pass is possible, but that's not going to be seen this season. Though, yeah, it even has a defog, but honestly, T-Spikes and Z-move Tinted Lens attacks is going to be causing a real issue for a lot of teams to face. Base 90 speed as well is a very solid speed tier, because at this stage I don't think I have anything below base 95 and above like base 85, so yeah, that's a nice speed tier to hit. For all those speed tier fanatics out there, but yeah, Venomoth is strong, and it has like passable bulk. It's pretty frail, but like it's not awful. Bug Poison is a decent defensive typing, so that's pretty nice. Nice four times resist to fighting. So yeah, Snorlax doesn't have to fear too much. Choice Lock mons get a setup on by Venomoth, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, the last mon we have capping off this team is a pretty massive threat, and yeah, I can't lie, synergizes perfectly with Coco, and that is Hawlucha. Synergizes offensively perfectly with Coco. Obviously, choose EQs actually, which is really nice, but being immune to EQ is very solid. But honestly, like Unburden plus Electric Terrain with Electric Seed is Hawlucha's main purpose with Coco. You guys know that. Like, I feel like the whole community knows by now what these two do. Like, Hawlucha Coco has been cancer in OU for ages now. Like, it was all over the tournament scene for a while there. But as far as draft goes, it's still pretty popular. I think people are catching on to how amazing terrain abuse is with Unburden mons. I've seen even like low tier Unburden mons like Sceptile being used, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Hawlucha is crazy. Acrobatics with Unburden, with base 118 speed affords Hawlucha to be able to run a ton of bulk in most matchups, because you can pretty much guarantee Unburden will be procced because of Electric Seed. So yeah, Hawlucha is pretty crazy, and it's a very nice component of my offensive core. So that's going to be my ITL squad for Season 7. Pretty fun team. Not the typical Gypsy draft you'd really expect. Honestly, like Aki's draft is certainly more in keeping with my usual style. But yeah, this season I figured I'd switch it up, have some fun, and draft some nice powerful offense with a few fat pivots in the back. So that's gonna be my team. Hope you guys did enjoy it, and let me know in the comments if you're excited for me to use this team. I know I'm pretty keen to get into it. I think week 1 we face off against my good friend Aki, so that's gonna be a finals rematch from last season. So that should be pretty exciting. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. If you guys did enjoy, drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.